Out to X-Rail and brainstorm on issues affecting our society with the aim of bringing change.
Topics and realities.
Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
on Royal FM.
Topics and realities.
A weekly program brought to you by the English desk of Royal FM.
Royal FM.
Topics and realities.
Topics and realities.
Topics and realities.
The gateway to change.
Good afternoon, good people. Welcome to the first edition of Topics and Realities, coming to you live from your number one station, Royal FM 88.4. And to tell you that it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you for this edition, and I want to use this opportunity to tell all those who are listening to us at this point in time that Happy New Year and a prosperous 2021 for you all. I'm not leaving out our own brother Irishkimu, who is a Tani in the year 2021. And to tell you that in today's edition of the program, we shall be talking about the current situation of things in Cameroon after the head of state's message to the Cameroonian people, where he talks about the current situation of the Anglophone crisis and equally our democratic situation. That was on the 31st of December 2020. We shall be discussing all those things with a group of our panelists who are already here with us this afternoon. For the next 2 hours, we shall be having these topics and realities. And you should know that Topics and Realities is your talk show aimed at building the nation Cameroon. And you can equally call us on the number 655-5434, 655-5434. 57. That is our access code, so you go to 671-1573-21. That is our number this afternoon. And just to tell you that the team keeping you company this afternoon, we have Karopodan Stente, who is our copyright clerk. Irish Kimo is our sound engineer plus our video editor on our Facebook page, Royal FM Cameroon. Topics and Realities is a production of Royal FM with editorial coaching coming from Jean Patti and Salah. Coordination is done by our own station manager Bertrand Owona. General supervision is ensured by Reverend Pastor Emmanuel Nwabisai. Call me the moderator. My name is ABEL Bela Samari. I am the son of Donkey. I will be right back after this piece of music, where I'm going to introduce to you our guests of the day.
You go for Babenda, Abakwa boss them the suffer. From north to south, my complice them the handler. From east to west, three boys them the brasso. Now you do a more, 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 now you do a more.
Now you see boy this country, you must fish a more, you must fish a more, you go fish a more. Now you bring good from Okoya, you must finish a more, you must finish a more. You go finish em. Now you damage this country. You must fish em more. You must fish em more. You go fish em more.
La vérité est un repas que l'on ne retrouve jamais à la table des menteurs. Afin que ceux-ci la retrouvent malgré eux dans leur cerveau, je jure de chanter la vérité et rien que la vérité. Bongo agobras before they make me, but agobras that's all. Baisse de salaire na you, arriéré na you, compression du personnel na you, licenciement na you, privatisation na you, liquidation na soso you. Odan jimlon koko koko konoado na you. education for them una them again. Consequence, boys they don't turn attacker, got them na ninja. For sick over a frame, small church for 14 ans, they don't begin agresser ma piqué for Carrefour. Pour quel est small c'est de non turn à moule par excellence des chômeurs. Diplôme de non changer statut. Licencié dans taximan, on la wana Ben Skinner. BTS dans secrétaire pour dans ces tics sont wana bay Amsterdam. Bachelier na pharmacien pour gazon. GCE O level na Kochimbanga, Weti Kochiroba. On la wana diwa na Fofam Banana. BBT na chargeur, on la wana corseur. GCE A level na Bluestone, someone di na Sansan. CAP na Kenkaye Focus, on la wana di Tumnalan. CPE na pousseur, someone na two head, on la wana di Baskana Tapi. First school living certificate na Awarawa, on la wana colonel major for gardiennage. People like we so know we no been go na final. Now if them damba oh, now if Islam denge oh, now get hard, you go sell chemical for Dubai. Yes Mobo, all we na hoka the category A pour ministère des sauveteurs. Où ça vous offre de la croissance des noms? Now we this today call the don't for stock. Now we this today double champion du monde du choco.
Now you see boy this country, you must be shamu. You must be shamu. You go be shamu. Now you bring good for you must be shamu. You must be shamu. You go be shamu. Now you bring this country. You must be shamu. You must be shamu. You go be shamu.
What are the best? Asabe. What are the best? So go before tous les jours. Sa Majesté Empereur et au premier Gata Investino Bernard Tapie Charles de la Hollande Maréchal Senga Bibi Ondowa Hello Kester JP Joya de Paris Maître Yao Ngeko Les Free Boys. Yeah!
If you are just tuning in, the program is Topics and Realities coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. And thank you very much, Irish Kimwe, for that piece of music. The title is Lapiro de Bang. The music is composed by Lapiro de Banga. The title is Now You Spoil This Country. You must fix up. We are very happy for that. Rapidly, let me introduce those who are with us this afternoon in the studio. Good afternoon to you and Happy New Year to you, Franklin.
Good afternoon, Abel. Good afternoon, listeners. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year, dear panelists. Greetings to all the listeners of Royal FM, and have a wonderful New Year in 2021.
Thank you very much. And I hope the New Year too is also moving very well as from your own end.
Yeah, if right up to now there's no one in the family who is sick, then we can thank God.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jules Raymond Fuller.
Thank you very much, Abel. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our listeners. I want to extend these wishes of New Year, very happy New Year to all the militants, the sympathizers, the supporters of my party,
the CPDM.
Last year we did a wonderful job. We won all the elections, the municipal, the legislative, the city mayor, and very recently the executive or the regional council. We are very proud of all the militants of my party.
And you are in total control of the political landscape.
Yes, thanks to our work. We are not sleeping,
which is very visible.
Yes, we are not waiting the eve of the market before trying to feel it. We are doing daily work. We deserve what is happening. So this is the result of our daily and habitual work. I also want to greet, how can I say, to wish very happy New Year to the head of state, who is also His our national president, His Excellency Mr. Paul Biya, who is doing everything in order to manage and to take care of our country.
Remind me, because I have a question for you in the course of this program that is related to your president. If I had to forget, tell me that Ibe, you promised to ask me a particular question.
For us CPDM, we never forget anything. I will remind you.
From the CPDM party, we move to the SDF party. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Omi Bertrand.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abel, and thank you for the invitation.
And it seems as if the 2021 will be a year of traditional outfit for you.
You know, I always define myself as a Cameroonian first, and secondly as somebody from the grassfield. Yeah. So I don't want to call any particular geographical setting, but it is in Graphiman talking. A from Graphiman for that matter.
So the 2021 for the SDF party, like the CPDA, should be waxing very strong.
Yeah.
Are you also going to say Happy New Year to your chairman? Because Mr. Fuller just did that.
Obviously. Okay. But before I say that, I will first of all extend my heartfelt congratulations to you, Abel.
Thank you very much.
Because I know you had an award, that of the best employer of Royal FM, which is, I know there are some big wins in this house. Strong people that have at least come to know Kiki and Patience Chala, that people actually know, and I know they are actually strong. If you can come and
I'm not working alone.
I know that. I know that.
Karopo Dance
I know that.
Betrano is there. Jean Pascal, I just call, is also there to do the electoral question.
Sure,
so it's a teamwork.
For sure.
So we should say the team has won.
Yeah, but even if the team has won, they always say Etofis scored the golden goal. Yeah. So I will actually want to extend my regards to our dear listeners, because we are nothing without them, and I will equally wish a Happy New Year to my family and the chairman and members of my party.
Okay.
For sure. Me John from the Wiss in Yaoundé.
Okay. From another politician, we move to another politician, Fungwe Franklin. Roger. Yeah. I was confused. What was confusing with Franklin the other way, even though he's not a politician. But you are in the politicians. You are representing the Cameroon
Party for National Reconciliation.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you.
Good afternoon, Abel, and good afternoon to our listeners out there. Good afternoon to my fellow co-panelists. Happy New Year to everyone, and I pray this year is going to be better than last year. Okay. And Mr. Abel, permit me to apologize to my brother from Mr.
We are going to talk about that.
Yes, because
I know where the apology is going. We are going to arrange it.
Okay. In fact, I can just say your.
Are you also going to say Happy New Year to your president? Because it seems as if it's a trend this morning.
Not really, but okay. I equally want to say something, Abel. Permit me to congratulate two great women from our party, Honorable Roland Isingo and Anne Fegon Bilua. Yeah. Anne Fegon is the spokesperson of Honorable Cabral Ibi, and she's equally one of the spokesperson of the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation. Why am I saying this? These two women launched a movement on the 26th of July 2020. Honorable Roland Isingo wrote to Mr. Mateng Barangangele with respect to the problem of the difficulties of ID
national identity cards.
Yeah, and on the 3rd of January, Anne Fegon Bilua launched a movement, hashtag Je veux ma CNE, in English, hashtag I want my ID card.
So your party is not sleeping?
It's
not
hitting
hard to some of the problems of the Cameroonian people.
Anyway, I brought this up not to talk about the party, but to tell the Cameroonians out there that what youths can do, because the movement, since the movement came up yesterday, Mr. Barangangele had to come out for a press conference. Yes, and he told us how things are going to be ameliorated. You see, I don't want to tie the victory just only to our political parties. I equally want to say thank you to all the Cameroonians who participated, because even people from the CPDM joined the movement. The people from CRM, SDF. In fact, it was not a political party.
It's a political win.
No, it's not a political, because people from the civil society too are part of it. It was a Cameroonian.
So should we say an advancement in our democracy?
No, in an advancement in our solidarity to fight against things that has to do with the country, because it's not political. But I just talk about it because these two women are from our party. But the victory,
that launched the idea.
Yes, but the victory goes to everybody. It's congratulations to them, and to say
Thank you very much on their behalf.
Like Mr. Mfula just said, we are back to the field, because Honorable Cabral Ibi today is in Douala to launch the registration to the electoral list in Dokoti.
Okay.
So we are back to the field.
So you are already preparing for 2025?
We started preparing since after the presidential election of 2018. Yes.
I welcome you, our political scientist, Prince. hotel. It's been a while. Are you in Cameroon or you are just coming back?
Yes, Abel, thank you very much, and Happy New Year, warm Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much.
Another warm Happy New Year to all the listeners.
I should also say congratulations to you because it seems as if Mr. Womoyi started the congratulatory issue for winning the most young entrepreneur person for the year 2020.
Yeah, I was just coming to that. I wanted to start by wishing you to congratulations, and like you said, I won the prize of the best uprising entrepreneur. Given by the Pan-African movement, that's Panafest. That was in December, the 11th of December.
So I strongly believe there is a lot of issues you have for young people when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, of course. Well, just to let the cat out of the bag, it's not
there's
something
a cat in the bag.
Yeah, actually, it is. Myself and my collaborators, it is really our wish to see how we can actually bring Cameroonians, young Cameroonians, out of this mentality of going to ENAM, which is the only solution, or entering the public service to be the only solution. We want to make young Cameroonians see the other side of life, the other side, which is entrepreneurship. I think we are launching a conference and a workshop on the 16th of January
to educate them. Maybe when we'll have opportunity, we'll talk about that. We like some of those initiatives. Those are some of the things that we really need to encourage, because if young people can have the mindset that I can work for my country, will also help to better the landscape. Not that we sit and we sit. We have PhD.
Of course, Abel, that is a more, thank you very much. Maybe I should just add, that is the most reason why we are doing this, because most people believe that you must be a PhD holder, you must be a professor before you can contribute something to your country, of which we know very well most of those people with those degrees and the titles contribute nothing to the country, which is very, very evident. And maybe I should just cite something close before we go. I want to talk about the idea of national identity. Well, I'm not disputing or trying to attribute to somebody, because Roger actually said quite like this. It's a collective civil society something, and like I want to remind you. Remember, there was a time here, my brother and I, Fabrice Lena, we launched a campaign for that. I don't know.
I remember
very well. It is not
so
something.
You are in that movement.
Of course. It is something which is very peculiar to Cameroonians.
Very soon I will also join you people, because I have the issue of ID card also.
You are very welcome.
Maybe I might be talking like this, and when I'm going to Gusu, you will see those guys who will be.
Abel, permit me to say it is an opportunity for me to call all the Cameroonians out
there.
But
that is not what we are discussing today.
No, I just want to say something very brief. Please join the movement so that it should become more massive than what is already existing today. Just go on your Facebook account and write hashtag I want my ID card. If you're a francophone, just write.
I hope it is not a political protest.
No, it is not political.
Our head of state says that we should be very careful for those.
No, Abel, ID card is a Cameroonian issue. That is your first proof as a citizen of a country. So if you don't have an ID card, there are so many. Anyway, you said it's not the topic, but it would have been an honor for me to explain so many things that you can miss without your ID card. Without your ID card, you can't sign a contract. Without your ID card, they can't issue a passport. Without your ID card, you cannot register to the electoral list. Without your ID card, there are so many things you're missing. Abel, it is not an issue. That is why I said it is a Cameroonian victory. I just listed Anne Fegonde Bilua because she is a spokesperson of our party, and she's the one who launched the movement on the 3rd of January. Hashtag Je veux ma CNA.
Thank you very much.
So all the Cameroonians out there, we can be part of it. Like Prince was just saying, I'm glad to hear that he wants to launch it. That is why I say we should keep ourselves together and keep fighting for the general interest of the country.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fuller, I have not said anything, but we are monitoring. I hope it's going to be a peaceful storm.
No, it is peaceful.
Stephen Jones, Happy New Year to you. It has been a while.
Very long
while. The same
while.
question I asked to Prince Wee. Happy to have you back.
Seriously, I just decided one time that let me sit
and observe
and actually observe from the other side of the screen. And I've been following so well. I've been following online via Facebook, and I make sure I send my contribution. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm pleased to see my noble friend, Mr. Roger, right here. Massa, long time. Mr. Fuller.
So everybody is there.
Mr. Fuller.
Okay.
Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for us to have you.
Happy New Year, Mr. Prince Will and Mr. Omini.
Yeah.
My boss is there right there. We'll have to talk something after this. Thank you.
Okay, take it.
You have your family.
Let's welcome Susan Nayonge, who is here with what the papers have been saying this week. Good afternoon to you, Susan.
Good afternoon, ABEL Bela Samari. Good afternoon to all Royal FM listeners and Facebook page followers. Welcome to another edition of the Weekly Press Review. And here is what the press had for us in this week of the new year. On Monday, the papers focused on the head of state's traditional end-of-year speech. The Post headlined, Biya promises hard times for separatists. Cameroon Insider headlined, Paul Biya hails Cameroon's democratic progress. Cameroon Tribune on its part headlined, Paul Biya to the nation, we are on the right track. Meanwhile, the Garden Post headlined, Retrospective, Thorns, Roses of 2020. Le Jour headlined, 2020 COVID year. Another story featured on Cameroon Insider as, Penja Pepe gets international recognition. Tuesday's editions in health centered on the hemodialysis center in Bamenda as the Garden Post headlined, as Northwest dialysis machines break down, delegate hospital director playing politics while patients' lives in danger. Le Jour rather put it as, Bamenda, confusion over the hemodialysis center. The media newspaper had a story, fostering decentralization, Kumba, Limbe, Bamenda City Councils adopt ambitious 2021 budget. End-of-year feasts, Felix Mbayu donates fetes with Bamenda Old Town Community is a story found on the Garden Post. Cameroon Tribune had a story which featured education, second term begins in earnest, and another on regional elections titled Menwa votes on April 4, 2021. Looking at Wednesday's papers, Cameroon Tribune headlined, Boya Diocese, His Lordship Michael Bibi is new bishop. This story featured two on the Garden Post as, Pope appoints Michael Bibi Bishop of Boya. Meanwhile, next to it is a story titled, Archbishop Nkeya rubbishes major national dialogue. Le Jour had as main headline, National Identity Card, the never-ending suffering. In sports, a story featured on Cameroon Tribune as Chan 2021, Intermediate Lions need to roar. Moving on to Thursday's editions, a series of human interest stories occurred. The Horizon had as main headline, Anglophone Crisis flares up, 5 killed in Northwest. The Sun newspaper put it as, Deadly attack on Momo SDO's convoy, and the Garden Post headlined, Momo, suspected amber explosive kills communication delegate, 4 security officers. Still on this paper, a story headlined, Suspicious fire partially razes Sase College dormitory. The Sun headlined it as, Fire razes down Sase. The Horizon had as other story, 4 Cameroonians drown at Port Gentil Beach in Gabon. Glancing through Friday's papers, Mutation newspaper had as main headline, Mismanagement, Camerco comedy show. Le Jour rather had another angle of treatment as, Appointments, Jean-Christophe Elangema, new Director General of Camerco. Press freedom, Cameroon drops by 3 places is a story which featured on Emergence Bilingual Daily. The Garden Post had a story, Despite pending Supreme Court ruling, embattled Kumba City Mayor sworn in as Civil Status Registrar. Still on this paper, a story featured Manu, 3,000 IDPs, 600 returning refugees receive Biya's humanitarian assistance. To conclude this press review, the Voice newspaper had as main headline in sports, Chan Cameroon 2021, tourism sector, Bello Buba's team sharpened ready. That brings us to the end of the weekly press review. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned and see you same time next week for another edition.
Thank you very much, Susan Nayonge, and we all listen to what the papers have said. But since we'll be discussing some of those issues, I will now welcome Promise Akanti, who is here with her write-up for the day. Good afternoon to you, Promise.
Happy New Year to you, Mr. Moderator, Staffman ABEL Bela Samari. Welcome to another exciting year. Hello to all our listeners. Special greetings to you all watching us live on Facebook on Royal FM Cameroon. New Year greetings to you all our guests. It is the start of another year. Time for us to evaluate the just ended year and make projections for the new year. And one person who did just that already is the head of state, President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya. As tradition holds, on December 31st, 2020, His Excellency Paul Biya addressed the nation, an occasion for him to make a balance sheet of 2020 and announce projects for 2021. In his traditional end-of-year speech, the president regretted the fact that banditry and Boko Haram activities were being perpetrated by teenagers in the northern regions of the country, while also decrying the fact that despite calls for separatist fighters to leave the bushes and resume normal life, things are moving from bad to worse, with more attacks on people and property in the northwest and southwest regions. What has now become the Anglophone crisis has claimed too many lives already, and the head of state, in his message, called on fighters to drop their weapons and reintegrate the society. Something which seems not to be happening anytime soon, going by the intensity of the atrocities being committed. But apart from security challenges, the head of state also praised the putting in place of all the institutions as contained in the constitutions of the land, with the coming of the regional council, whose members have already been elected, and the regional bureau put in place. Cameroon's democratic process was hailed for not taking as long as others and for making commendable strides. The head of state's end-of-year speech also threw more light on the economic health of the country, as well as commend the efforts of all in combating the coronavirus pandemic. In all of this, one of the most striking observations made by this writer is the increasing lack of interest by city dwellers in the speech of the head of state. The 8 p.m. appointment of December 31 does not seem to matter anymore to Cameroonians. Is that what obtains? Do Cameroonians still listen to and expect anything from their president's speech? Ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, this is the platform for us all to contribute our fair share to nation building. A call, a text message, or an opinion on the comment section of the live broadcast on Facebook will do. And for you, present in this beautiful blue, brightly lit, air-conditioned Studio Thompson of Royal FM 88.4, say it as it is. Do not hold anything back. This is Topics and Realities.
Thank you very much, Promise Akante. Thank you for that write-up. We go straight to what we are going to be discussing this afternoon. Franklin, did you listen to the head of state speak?
Yeah.
And what did you get from his messages?
After repeating the history that we always see in Cameroon.
History?
History, I call it history because COVID-19 is nothing new. The Anglophone crisis is nothing new. So the only new thing he said was adding 5 years into workers. But that was a partial, to me it is partially positive. Because you can't be adding the length of working period to those who are working without granting those who want to work another time. What I simply mean is that he will have added 5 years before retirement to those who are working, and also added 5 years to those who want to enter the public service. Like the limited age should not be 32. They can also add 5 years. It should be 37. Every Cameroonian wants to work for this country. Everyone is ready to work.
Don't you see that? That is why you see somebody like Prince Rui is fighting hard that we should remove this civil servant mentality. Viva Jones, I got you. You follow the head of state's message with a lot of pomp and infantry, saying that is your head of state. What did you really get from that message that you can share with the Cameroonian people?
What I got from the message, seriously, Abel, I won't tell you a lie. I took my time and I sat on my chair, followed the message from the start to the end. And while he was talking, somewhere along the line, I thought he was a political analyst. Then I sent a message to
the head of state becoming a political analyst.
Yes, because when you look at his message from his first 10 minutes, I don't know, he spent time bragging about his winning as a president of the country, his party winning all the seats.
Is it bragging? Is that not the reality?
No, he's bragging. I mean, when you go out there to address the common man or the civilians, tell the civilians what you think that they expect to hear. Do not, be telling people how you organized elections and it was successful and things like that. So away from that, we'll do a lot of the analysis. I was so ashamed of myself to hear the head of state mention the issue of the killings in Kumba. Then I asked myself, so he is aware of the killings and he had to stay quiet for this long only to come out today. Did
he tell you that he stood quiet?
Did he made an official statement when that issue happened? He did not.
You saw a national day of mourning.
Did he actually come out? In other countries,
the Prime Minister went to the southwest region.
The Prime Minister, the Prime Minister is not the head of state.
Be everywhere.
But at least, even if he can't go, excuse me, Abel, even if he can't go, we expected him to even say something. I mean, at that moment when he's pressing, stop sending governors who go there on their own initiative and say the head of state has sent me with an envelope. You want to see this minister is coming to say the head of state. The head of state is sending how many people?
Were going there on their own initiative.
They were going there on their own initiative.
We got your point. Thank you very much. Mr. Wumi Betran of the SDF party. The head of state made just remove that headphone so that we should. Okay, thank you very much. The head of state on the 31st of December, 9 days ago, talked to Cameroonians, and it was a fatherly message of advice. The first man will say accountability, that's giving the analysis, the state of affairs of the country.
Yeah, I expected to see the head of state.
Okay, you were expecting?
Yes, I expected to see.
Did he meet your aspiration?
Not at all. I expected the head of state to give us.
Is it not because you are a member of a political party and you don't see, you didn't see it that way?
In fact, 2021 is not an electoral year, so I should be talking like somebody who is actually talking out of his intelligence and not out of political maneuvers. Yes. So what I'm saying is that I expected much from him. I wanted that he should bring out the state of the union, the state of our country, to bring out clearly that in 2020 these are the financial.
But he did that by launching a new plan.
He didn't. He was like talking of.
We have a new developmental plan in Cameroon.
Yeah. What happened with the last?
Is that not the balance sheet?
What happened with the last one? There was no balance sheet. That's what I was trying to tell you. You know,
the situation of the coronavirus. Is that not the balance sheet?
He spent time telling us about coronavirus, things we already know, because the Minister of Health, of Public Health, gives us a day-to-day account of what is happening. And secondly, he talked of the fact that he has personally realized that Cameroonians do not respect the barrier measures. Then I asked myself, how did he actually know? Because he is not close to Cameroonians.
How can you say that? He's the head of state.
That is somebody that went out of Yaoundé, officially, I think once in 2020. Once. So I don't know how he sees Cameroonian, where he meets Cameroonian. Where he doesn't meet Cameroonian at all. When he's passing from A to D to Vomeka, the speed is actually.
So meeting the Cameroonians, it means that he should be checking on his leg before you know that he meets Cameroonians.
We look at people like Kagame.
So do you expect that the president should go down moving with maybe bedding slippers or holding something to be moving before you know that he meets Cameroonians?
What I'm saying is that he is somebody.
When you talk about this issue,
he is somebody who is not close to Cameroonians. So it is only when you are close to Cameroonians.
How do you expect the head of state to be close to Cameroonians?
Yeah, you see, there are head of states that visit schools, that visit markets, comes out, visit people, create conferences, visit conferences. But that is somebody. His only issue is when there is an important thing in Europe, he goes. Even in Africa, in conferences in Africa, he doesn't go at all. Even Africa, he doesn't visit the African Union conferences. He doesn't go there. He doesn't go there.
In 2020,
he hardly does.
In 2020, the president didn't leave the country.
We know that.
Is that not an applause?
We know that he is so in love with Etude that he never built. Somebody did that. So he is so in love with the town, with the territory. But I didn't finish. Okay. That is somebody that he did not give us any figures. It is terrible that you see a president of the republic coming. He doesn't give any figures on the balance sheet of 2020. So a head of state who comes to talk to us, it's like he was singing. It's like I was listening to one PTP Marcos. I don't know. So when you come to tell Cameroonians what has the year been for the 2020, you tell us this is what we have been able to get. We didn't get this because first of all he always come with excuses, and the corona has done this. Before corona it was Boko Haram. Okay. Now the Anglophone Crisis has come. They are always blaming. When are we going to be a prosperous country if we live on blames? Okay, that is the question. Why? In the years of Aejo, please before I end, in the years of Aejo, we have the 5 years developmental plan. 5 years. That after 5 years we come and say, okay, this is what we have achieved. Okay, we have been lacking here. Let's ameliorate at this angle. Should we continue to be on our path? We are just. Do you know a drunkard? When a drunkard has a soul in a steering, it is terrible. We don't know where we're going to end. Whether it's on the mountain, in the valley, we don't know where to end. So that's how Cameroon is being governed. Okay. Rogers, on that same day, when the president was addressing the Cameroonian people, your president of your party was equally addressing the same Cameroonian people on the same time. What is the meaning of that?
No, not the same time. Points of correction. Okay. Yeah, not the same time.
But you have to address the people on that same day.
Yes, but the president of Cameroon, President Paul Biya, did his address by 8 p.m. and our president did his by 6 p.m. It was normally supposed to be by 3 p.m., but we had a problem of connection.
Why on that same day?
I think there is no law that bans the president of our party to address the Cameroonians and militants of his party. So I don't think there is any.
So did you follow the head of state?
Yeah.
What did you retain?
I followed the head of state, the speech of the head of state, the traditional speech of the head of state. Like one of the co-panelists was saying, it's the normal routine. But when he started,
the same like what your president was saying, the normal routine.
No, you can't say that. Let me talk, Abel.
Okay.
When the president started, I was expecting the president to make reference to the accident that happened at Njinimeki in the central region, Bamenobo. Yeah, I was expecting him, but no reference to that because the speech of the president with that accident is just something of few days, you understand. He didn't say anything with respect to that. And when the president started,
so what were you expecting the president to take?
As the head of state, we lost more than 30 people in that accident. The minimum you could do is to sympathize with the family. What our national president did, that's the minimum he could do. And talking about the speech of the president, Abel, when he started, he was talking about COVID. Okay, yes, COVID, it's true. 2020, the whole world, the entire world was hit by the pandemic COVID-19. But the truth is, when the president was talking about the pandemic, I was equally expecting the president to say something to our medical sector, which he did partially. He said he congratulated the medical personnel. But the question I was asking is, where is our scientific, what's the function of the Ministry of Scientific Research? What is the function of that ministry? Because the president did not tell us if we are about producing a Cameroon-made drug to fight against COVID or Cameroon vaccine. We didn't hear anything about that. He just told us about how we are fighting against COVID-19, and there is nothing like we are struggling to come out with a Cameroon-made drug, because you cannot tell for the time that. The 1 year that we have been in the battle of COVID-19, the president cannot come and tell Cameroonians this is what we are doing in order to come out with a drug that is 100% Cameroon. I will remind you that even the vaccine that we are talking about, so many countries, the latest one is Iran. Iran just banned the vaccine. Is it Pfizer vaccine, if I'm not mistaken? Iran banned the vaccine from America and European countries to enter their country, that they don't have proof of the validity of this vaccine. And I will tell you that a medical doctor died in America, and the family has taken Pfizer to court because he died as a result of after receiving the vaccine. You understand? And if you read the contracts of the Pfizer, the contracts of this company this pharmaceutical company producing the vaccine, you clearly understand that. When a question was asked during the press conference in the US, they asked them if there is an after effect, who is going to be responsible. The company refused that they are not going to be responsible for the after effects of the vaccine. So if you see country being skeptical using those vaccines, I think the president would have told us that my people, we have been suffering for 1 year now, and this is what the government has decided to do. This is what we are going to do. We are working on a Cameroonian vaccine, or we are working on a Cameroonian tablets or injections. And we equally regret the fact that the president did not mention anything about our traditional medicine, and we all know the impact that our traditional medicine created during the fight against COVID-19. We can talk of that of Bishop Cleda. We can talk of that of this woman, how they call that, her name, the drug is Gulbintak. Gulbitara. There are so many Cameroonians out there who came out with drugs. Some of them were exporting this drug to the U.S. Americans were buying the drugs from Cameroon to use. But the president didn't say anything about our traditional medicine, and which is a sector that, if we work, take for example the Madagascar issue, the drugs that was created in Madagascar. Take for example that drug. You know, there was equally a controversy around that drug. Germany took the drug. They said they tasted it, it's good. Senegal said they tasted it, after proofs they said the drug is good. The World Health Organization said the drug was good, and later on, you understand, there is a lot of complication, there is a lot of mafia around this, and I think it was an opportunity for our president, who has been so absent. Because in a situation like this, in a fight like this, where the whole world is affected, we've seen. Excuse me, Abel. This is very. Yes, you are running up. This is very, very important. Abel, we saw how people, leaders all over the world, were talking to their peoples. Let me not to say on daily basis, but at least on weekly basis. But
the prime minister was doing that.
In those countries, they equally have prime ministers. They have prime minister. They have ministry of. We are not the one. Cameroon is not an exception. They have all those people you're listing, but we saw their president talking. So we can equally regret the fact that for 1 year in the battle of COVID-19, our president was so absent. And I can't remember how many. I can't count how many times in the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation we have been calling him to come and talk to the Cameroonian people, comfort them.
He has been doing that.
He has not been doing it, Abel. Tell me the day he spoke to the people, Abel. Tell me.
On the 19th of May, he did address the Cameroonian people.
On the 19th of May, are you serious? Are you serious? He addressed the Cameroonian people about COVID? Even if I have to agree that he addressed the Cameroonian people on COVID, Abel, do you think that a president needs to stay for about 6 months before coming out and say something to his people? No, he is the garant of the people living in Cameroon. He is supposed to be talking to the Cameroonians.
Thank you very much. The number is 655-543457, 655-543457, 671-157321. Mr. Fuller, what are the salient points you got from the head of state's message?
Thank you very much, Abel. I hope that you allow me to speak not too much, but a little. You know, I am alone against so many opponents.
Right on.
So, first of all, Abel, I will start by
He's not talking to you. Allow Mr. Fuller to talk.
Thank you. First of all, I will start by presenting my condolences, Abel, to the army, the police, the gendarme, the custom office, and even the communication administration. You know that, as you know, Abel, the convoy of the SDO.
That is what we are going to be talking about. That is our main subject. We just wanted to do this bit of introduction.
Only want to present to their bosses. And their administration, all our condolences. And we heard about 2 days ago what happened in Babaju. And now, before talking properly concerning the speech of the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Paul Biya, let me have a word, tell a word concerning the other speeches. We heard about 2, 5, or even 6 speeches coming from common politicians. I don't have anything against. They are free.
You don't even need to have anything against, because there is no law that bans it. No, you cannot call a political leader a common politician. We should respect each other, Abel. That's all I want to say.
Yes, we are going to. We got your point, Mr. Fuller.
They are free politicians. They are free to address the population, as you know that they are political. They are politicians. They are leader of a political party. But in nowhere in the world, nowhere, you will see such spectacle. You know, at the end of the year, in a presidential system, the head of state have the obligation to address the nations. Since you have the legitimacy and legality.
Mr. Fuller, what account for this aspect that we see politicians coming up? Because it is a serious worry.
What I want to say something about. the head of state in a presidential system and the prime minister in a parliamentary system, they have the legitimacy and the legality to address the population on the name of the people. But here you saw so many politicians talking proudly, addressing the people. We don't know. Nowhere in the world. There are some countries we used to take the example. The United States of America, the Great Britain, the French, the Germany. This is a spectacle you see nowhere in this world. You have a peculiarity in this country. Everybody can speak. And one of them did more the worst. One of them took the floor. The same time, the head of state started to talk. And to worsen the situation, it was behind him, there was a flag of this country. Please, a flag of this country. Kabal Libi did some of the differences. It was at the same time the flag and the flag of his own party. No problem for me. But he addressed the nations behind him. You saw the flag of this country. He don't have any legitimacy and any legality. For us, I want to call for them from the institution. We don't know where we are heading for. Is it a Kilombo? It is a jungle where anybody can do everything. Since there's no, as I heard a while ago, since there's no law against, you can do everything. This is the only country in the world, the only country you can see an opposition leader.
Let's take this caller online. Hello, my name is ABEL Bela Samari.
Yeah, Mr. Bela Samari.
Fine, sir.
Yeah, I'm Apostle Adam Shalom.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that you should tell Mr. Fuller that the problem of legitimacy is also a problem in this country, because the person that is saying that the person has how can I call it?
The legality and the legitimacy.
To speak to the people. The same person is having the problem of legitimacy.
Are you sure?
Because today they are contesting his re-election.
In which court?
As president.
In which court? Pastor Adam, in which court? Who is contesting? The Constitutional Council of the Republic already passed a decision on that. We are in 2018 presidential election, and we believe that at this point in time we should come to a consensus. But if I can ask you a question, when we have different politicians, yes, sir.
We are talking that if we are in the United States, that the justice is fair. There is no justice in this country.
Okay.
You know it very well. Mr. Biya was declared president. The people have the right to speak. Let me stop the committee that is playing.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Please, you go on.
Please. When he was howling, I didn't interrupt anybody.
You still have some few minutes.
I'm not interrupting you, Mr. Fuller.
Okay.
I just want to say that, at least for once,
yes,
I am with Mr. Fuller. In Cameroon, we have a head of state. Whether we like him, we hate him.
The elections has already passed. 2025.
So when the head of state is talking on that 31st, that's my humble opinion.
Yeah.
No Cameroonian is supposed to say anything.
Yeah.
If you have to say anything, it should be in reaction to what the head of state said. You don't have to address people in Cameroon as, even if you are the leader of a political party, so right? It should be after, not even in the US. You see that when the head of state is in his state of union, right? Yeah. When the head of state is in the state of union, it is after that. It is after that politicians react.
Okay,
that's how politicians react.
We got because you are rounding up.
We really need to have some political how do you call it?
Political knowledge,
political knowledge, political culture. Whether we like it or
for
not,
our institution,
whether we like it or not,
okay,
he is there. He is the head of state.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Fuller, you are rounding up.
I don't want to talk too much about this. I'm looking for the institution.
Yeah.
So we will not tolerate this kind of disorder anymore.
Okay.
It's time to stop it.
So what do you plan to do?
No, it's now a matter of the administration and the justice.
Okay.
This is not a jungle. Okay. This is not a Kilombo where anybody can do everything. Now I want to come properly concerning the historic speech.
Yes, give us the salient
head
point.
of state.
Yes, the salient point.
Okay.
In few seconds.
In second, talking about the speech of the head of state.
Yes, go now.
He started by the coronavirus. As you know that, you know the situation is worsening in Great Britain, France, and so on. So he did a kind of reminding to the population, this is right, to respect the barrier measure. He also talked about the conference of Paris concerning the climate. He talked about the peculiarity of our country. You know, Abel, we are attacked. We have two kind of enemy. We have internal and external enemy. We are attacked. Last year we were attacked in 6 military fronts: the far north region, the east, the Adamawa, the northwest, and the southwest, and very surprisingly the south with the Equatorial Guinea. So how can I say he praised the army for the work they have done in order to secure and to preserve
on our borders.
Yes, the integrity of the country. So he also warned once again the terrorist secessionists. You know, he called them the killer of children, the killer of how can I say students. How can you fight for independence and at the same time you want to impeach people to go to the school? Okay. But so he also insists for the fact that they will pay the price. Okay. And he also say a word concerning our, I don't know if I can use this word, the so-called friend countries. How can at the same time you introduce yourself? Our friendly countries. Yes, our friendly country. Introduce yourself. You are my friend, but you are keeping criminals. Yes. How can you introduce yourself? How can I say a leader of the fight against terrorism? But you are harboring those guys who are buying guns. Those guys who are how can I say who are giving order to the terrorists to kill their own compatriots. It's a kind of contradiction. So he asked them to do what they are supposed to do. He landed by saying that now you are heading for the right direction. He even give a picture. I heard that he never give a picture. He give a picture of 8% or something like that, talking about the economic growth. Yes. He said that we are in a good direction. So that was an historic speech by the head of state.
There's a lot of things that we are going to be picking out from that speech. And also, which in the course of our different programs.
Yes, he also remind what all the decision taking and the election talking about the decentralization and the regionalization. So that was the historic speech by the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Paul Biya.
Hello. 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 Yes. Who's on the line? We are going to come back to you now, Crispin. Prince Will.
Can we correct something?
No, we are going to come back. Let us also get the opinion of Prince Will. Prince Will.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, when we talk about the speech of the head of state, the end of year speech of the head of state, as a tradition, the head of state has to come every year to give us the speech. And it's not a surprising one. It's a very good speech. Like I've always said, the President of the Republic has never had a bad speech because it is a routine. The speech, the problem always comes at the level of the application. But now, considering this speech that we're talking about, we could understand him from 4 perspectives, beginning with the COVID-19 pandemic, moving forward to look at the security problem of Cameroon, after which he made mention of the democracy, the Cameroonian democracy, how advanced it is, and ending with the economic situation of Cameroon. So, to begin with the COVID-19, which the president actually illustrated and made so many comments on, I want to make a remark from an analytical point of view, Mr. Abel. You realize that the President of the Republic actually thank Cameroonians and everyone for their resilience and their attitude to keep up, not to even though he lamented people not really respecting the barrier measures, but he actually congratulated Cameroonians for that. But now, there is something which I want to point out because if we look at it critically, we're talking about management of coronavirus in Cameroon. The president did not go to thank, because there's a ministry for that. That's the Ministry of Health. The president did not go to thank the minister or to congratulate the minister for having fought against coronavirus, but he went to talk to Cameroonians. This, therefore, from an analytical point of view, brings up some sort of problem, which therefore means there is some sort of problem at the level of the management of the crisis by the ministry that is in concern, which is in conformity with the recent calling by the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, asking the Ministry of how they connect to audit the Ministry of Health. It goes a long way to explain that the president went forth to look at the situation in the northwest and southwest, and he actually talked about the crisis. Wherefore, he called them people who are there to destroy others, children and the likes, and he called on friendly countries, but he called these people separatists. He calls them hoodlums and the like, but he is calling on friendly countries to talk to those separatists. Now, I ask myself this question: how can you call some people outsiders, you can call some people hoodlums, you can call them separatists, and you are calling another country to dialogue with them, and you have been making this call? He has been asking this.
Mr. Fuller, talk about the responsibility, the penal responsibility.
Mr. Fuller,
go ahead. Who are harboring these terrorist secessionists?
Yes, he is calling on those.
He didn't talk about dialogue.
Mr. Fuller, look, this what we talk about is right. You are not talking to kids, you're talking to Cameroonians out there. When the president called on neighboring or friendly countries, asking them why they are harboring these people, and this call has been for as long as possible, and the question is, why are these friendly countries so resilient to answer to this call? Because it's not today that the president started asking for this call. This therefore means there is also a problem at the level of the president, because in international law we have what is known as the principle of extradition, which therefore means if these people are at a threats to the national security, nation building, are living together, and as conforming to the international law, the president of the republic can actually ask or use a diplomatic means to bring these people. And if the diplomatic means have been failing, it therefore means the president has also been failing in his own objective. Remember, international law still talks about what? It talks about the principle to protect. Now, when you have that principle to protect, it therefore means you have to go through. Remember the recent classification of countries which have the least or poor human rights laws or respect of human rights. Cameroon is among the last. So you realize that Cameroon is topping the list, rather. You realize that this therefore brings to a problem. Now, moving forward now, he made mention about the Chan and trying to talk to Cameroonians about how the Chan is coming to Cameroon and how we should try to, because it's our own. But he went forward to look at the Can, which is coming in 2022 rather.
Next year.
Next year. But I didn't hear him talk anything about the stadium with the Pobia stadium, which is in place and which hasn't gone anywhere. I didn't hear him talk about the auto route, which you have been waiting for long.
The president cannot talk about everything.
Of course, you remember when Jones actually began his introduction, he said he had someone talking like a political analyst. Why do I affirm that with Jones? It's because when the president came up, he was analyzing more things which is in reality affirmed to the Cameroonian position and the Cameroonian problems. But the problem at this level is we can see someone who is being told about what is happening, but has poor mastery about the realities of what is happening on the ground.
Thank you very much.
Because if he had a mastery, he would have known about how the coronavirus was being managed. The bags of rice that got missing, and the likes and the likes and the likes. So we believe the head of state at the end of his year speech said things that concern Cameroonians, but he has little mastery as how these things are being applied, and this therefore gives to him a weakness as a head of state. Going with like Roger actually made mention, we had the Kumba incident, he never came out. Ndiki Mikili, he never came out, and they like the pronunciation and the like. So
he had misplaced priorities.
I think
now we all have got the impression that all of us listening to the head of state message, I want us to focus on something which is said during that speech and which concern most of us. That is, the head of state said that it is time those who are in the booties should leave and join the DDR Center. And 9 days after the head of state made that statement, we have discovered that the wave of crime wave in the northwest and southwest region has increased. Mr. Fuller sent condolence messages when he spoke to the divisional delegates for communication. We saw when they were coming back from the installation of the senior divisional officer, from Njikwa and that of Ngi, they were being ambushed and they had to lose their life alongside some soldiers. As if that is not enough, over in the Meme division in Kumba, we saw the military had to discover an explosive near a newspaper stand. As if that was not enough, Friday and Matazen, we all got the incident of the Matazen incident. It is not the first time the head of state is calling on the separatist fighters to drop their weapons and join the DDR center. Franklin, why do you think that the people are adamant to listen to the call of their president, whom they elected to guide them for the next 7 years in this country?
Samari, point of correction. Biya has never ever been elected into power. He assumed power in 1982 under...
I'm talking about 2018. I know you are a historian, but let us look at the 2018 where he was voted on an absolute majority by the Cameroonian people and acclaimed by the Constitutional Council.
Yes, let's assume like that.
Okay, we are not assuming it is a reality. Can we say it is a reality?
Yeah, reality on papers.
Okay.
Okay, right. Dear listeners, according to me, the president failed from 1979 when he was appointed the Prime Minister of Cameroon. I read over one newspaper that Ahidjo appointed Biya Prime Minister and said, Monsieur Biya, prends charge des anglophones. Which means before he became president, he already knew that the anglophones are not happy with what was happening. And when he came into power in 1982...
Can I give you a pause? Mr. Fuller, do you affirm that story?
No, never.
Okay, thank you very much.
Never.
Let's go ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's go ahead.
He's dreaming.
By that very moment, by 1982, when Biya was sworn into power, Cameroon was operating under the Unity Republic of Cameroon. In 1984, he transformed everything to the La République du Cameroon.
Republic of Cameroon.
Meaning that unity is not more there.
Yeah.
Meaning the Republic of Cameroon is now one. And Anglophones have not been happy with that. When you want to check into it up till the time that the Anglophones were very, very angry and the SCNC was coming in the early 90s, he pressurized them, displaced them. I know the likes of, there are so many others who are still hiding in Nigeria. Now in 2016, in July 2016 to be more precise, Anglophone lawyers came against this issue of bringing in Francophone jurists into the Anglophone courts. Actually, I read law and the civil law system is different from common law system. So they were against that the government should arrange all these things and we should see into it that
the government have been arranging it.
It is not done.
Do we still have
in the Cameroon?
Do we still have civil magistrates in common law courts today?
Even if they are not there, even we have Anglophones who are sitting there. Even if they put Anglophones there, how are those magistrates being trained? They are not being trained according to how the English system is. Because the English system, the real magistrate is he who is a law teacher, who has a good mastery of law, and not anybody who just lives SWA with a first degree, makes 2 years in Enam, and then comes out to sit as a magistrate. He knows no law.
Do you think that it poses a problem?
That was a major problem. That was one of the major problems. The Biya regime, the Yaoundé regime, ignored. When this thing was like heating up until the 22nd of November 2016, teachers came in complaining that the system is not more the Anglo-Saxon system of education. They gave a deaf ear. From within that very period till 2017, when you realize that when the consortium leaders were freed from the prison, they went back. The population already lost hope in Biya. I'm not lying to you.
The population lost
hope?
The
population lost hope in their father because they cannot be crying. The father sits and folds his arms. Like Roger rightly say, Biya is far away from his people. Bertrand confirmed that. So whenever he comes out now and says that he should do this, he's triggering anger in those guys. And to be very, very clear with us, despite the fact that I hate those guys in total, I don't like the way the president is handling this issue. The Cameroonians have called in that we should go in for a dialogue. Instead, they organize a monologue.
But there was a measure national dialogue.
It was a monologue.
You said die, not more.
Die means you come in with your own ideas, I come with mine, and we talk. But if I'm coming here for us to talk and you already present to me that this is what we are going to discuss, it is a monologue. Status. Then they will talk about special status on papers. What is that?
Prince, do you think that the DDR Center is the best place for these guys to leave the bush and join?
Thank you very much, Abel. I have always said this, Mr. Biya, as a political analyst, I will tell you, the visions of Mr. Biya has never been a bad one. The problem is at the level of the application of the vision of Biya that is wrong. Because if you look at with the Anglophone crisis...
Let me pause you. Is that a reality? The vision of Mr. Biya is in reality, but the problem is application. Do you confirm that statement?
I don't work in Mr. Bia's government.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Abel. Roger, thank you for answering that, because I think you're a Cameroonian and you need to know the vision of Cameroon, of Pobia, just like that of your president of your party, because as of date, it's not your president of your party which is ruling Cameroon.
We are not talking about his president of his party. We are talking about
Abel.
Do you think that the DDR Center is the best place for these guys to lead the bush and joint?
When we had the Anglophone Crisis started in 2016 and right up to date in 2019, when actually most people considered, like in other countries, that the solution could come from a major national dialogue. It was a very good proposition, but now we look at where the problem, because major national dialogue in itself it was something which could actually resolve the Cameroon problem if it was being well applied. Well applied, we talk about the constitution of the members of those who are supposed to take part in the dialogue. That's one of it. 2, the venue for the dialogue. 3, and the resolution of the dialogue and its applicability. That is what we talk about, a good dialogue. So if the national dialogue was applied in entirety and was applied in genuinity, you realize that the dialogue would have been a good one. But the dialogue failed because of its applicability. Now the DDR Center as a means also to resolve the Anglophone crisis, to bring these guys out of the bush, would have been a very good thing if its applicability was a good one. I remember one of our programs here, we saw in one of the newspapers, I think it's the Guardian Post, which actually put forth that the people are diseased, those guys are running away from the major national from the centers, and those guys are crying. They were being seen in the streets in Bamenda and in Boya crying of hunger, that where their conditions of living are not the best. We saw some of them, I don't want to call them, if I want to call them, Kwakwa Yannick, who has been lavishing up and down in the street, up and down, and bringing other propagandas. You see that the DDR Center in this in the concept which we have today, it is not what it was meant to be. Because if the DDR Center in its conception theory, which is supposed to bring in these guys, get some new trade or handwork for these guys that are coming out from the bush.
But that is what they are doing. They are turning them into agriculture. They are turning them into a lot of activities.
That is what you are saying is happening. That is not what the newspapers are reporting. I remember we had one of the newspapers right in front of our decks here. We were all here for that program. I was one of your analysts. So, and those papers are out there. Those papers are not telling you what they are not seeing. And those of us living in the reality like every other Cameroonian, especially those in the northwest and southwest, will still tell you the same thing. That you go to those centers, you see grasses have the bush in those centers today is like some of those schools that have been abandoned, which therefore make you to understand that these guys are not just doing what they're doing because they want to continue living in the bushes. It's because even the conditions which permits them to leave the bushes are not being arranged for them. I want to take an example of the Bokutunja subdivision. If you look at most of these guys, some of them have actually come out to cry that we want to drop the arms, but if we drop the arms, what is going to happen? We saw in I think it's Womb the other day where there was a military raid and 2 innocent guys were being killed.
It was an error.
It was an error, like the Ngabo error, like the All-Server error. So let's keep living in the error.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. The head of state gave an instruction. People are not respecting it for these guys to leave the bush. What do you think that should be done at this point in time so that we stop the rates at which we are losing our fellow countrymen? And if we continue like this, how do you envisage the year 2020 vis-a-vis the Anglophone crisis?
Abel, it's time now to tell the truth once again.
Yeah.
You know, according to us,
it means you used to lie.
No, it's I will be more serious.
Mr. Fuller, go ahead.
More serious than before.
Okay.
You know, according to us, there are problems everywhere, Abel. Everywhere. You can go to the far north region, east. Everybody will tell you about the problem they are facing there. And secondly, Abel, Cameroon is not the only country who is facing secession problem. You can go to, you have the example of Nigeria, Algeria, for instance, Nigeria, Algeria, Senegal, Angola, Spain, and very recently, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a federal republic, more decentralized than Nigeria, more decentralized. But you saw what happened. Very recently, the young Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he took his responsibility. Abiy Ahmed, who is a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, according to me, is a little minority who is creating problem both in the northwest and in the southwest region. The huge majority of the population, they are conscious of the fact that they are problem, but they know that they are Cameroonian. So according to me, if they ask me my personal point of view and the point of view of most of the militants of my party, it's time now to follow the same example of the Nigeria and the Ethiopia. There were no negotiation there. We cannot joke. We cannot joke about the integrity.
So what should we do at this point in time?
The same thing,
because we have lost a lot of life this week. You bear witness with me.
I am answering to a question.
Yeah.
We must do as Nigeria and Ethiopia did.
And what did they do?
Fuller,
to give the order to the army.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, thank you
this is my point of view, and this is what happened in Nigeria, in Algeria, in Ethiopia, in Senegal, and very recently in Ethiopia.
Thank you.
According to, I know my brother and sister of the northwest and southwest, they are conscious that they are Cameroonian, but for this little minority, it's time now to give the floor to the army to do their job.
What is the job of the army? If I may ask you, when you say the army, call for the army to do their job, I want you to be a bit explicit. Is it to go for a military raid, kill everybody, or is it to go back and we cancel the people to see the reason of belonging to the...
They cannot kill everybody.
Yeah.
As I told you earlier, a huge majority of the population are Cameroonian. They are conscious of the fact that, but we have a little minority who are creating problem.
Okay.
It's now
Mr.
time
Fuller,
to give to the army the floor to solve definitely the problem of this little minority who think that they have the capacity to impose their will to a whole government. Enough is enough.
You talk about the military actually carrying their job and doing what they have to do in order to erase. I want to call it the belligerents or the separatists to actually do that. I want to ask you, do you remember of listening in the northwest there was what they called Operation Keep Bamenda Clean meant that they were going to kill every separatist in Bamenda. The Keep Bamenda Clean means that everybody suspected to be a separatist was going to be killed. Now, yesterday we had the incident in Matazen. Before now, we have other incidents that have been happening. And remember, when you are promoting this,
are you trying to tell us that the Keep Bamenda operation failed?
It failed. We should ask Fuller, Mr. Fuller, who is...
Did he even start?
No,
they instead went ahead and extorting money from
Mr. Fuller,
we shouldn't even talk about Akibamenda.
That when you talk about the military coming in to wipe out the separatists, do you know it's a confrontation where even the military will have to lose their life that we saw in Matazen, we saw in those... So are you happy telling us that instead for us to have a situation where we can come together on the table like brothers and sisters and talk, or those people who have problems can come and talk, we should instead send our other people, like the most cherished brothers that you talk about the military to go and die? Is that what you are telling us? That if
are you aware of the fact that there was please
from 2016 to 2020 people have been dying and you still keep talking about erasing and
I want to be very short.
And it means you are accepting the
just yesterday alone we lost 5 military men.
We take this SMS from our listeners. The first one is coming from Ngongo, who says that good day and happy new year to all in the studio. Help clear my worry. Is Cameroon, Mr. Paul Biya. I think we should stop pointing fingers to him and start brainstorming on ways to develop our country, because we have seen that Mr. Biya has greatly failed this country. So please, the challenge is to us Cameroonians. That is my humble opinion. Cameroon Popman says that it is great program. Courage to you all. Jamenta, who is listening to this afternoon to us, says that greetings, so great people. And Simon Tar says that confirm my priest. We have others who are also going who are also listening to the program.
Please,
I give you 5 seconds.
Yes. I want to say that
it's a time for Roger to talk.
There were the same situation both in Nigeria and in Ethiopia.
And we should apply the Ethiopia method.
The Prime Minister of Ethiopia and the head of state of Nigeria said that there will be no negotiation. And then you have the result today.
Did you know that Buhari...
You have the result today.
Did you know that...
There is a peace there in Nigeria and Ethiopia.
Can I say something?
Is there peace in Nigeria?
Is there peace in Ethiopia?
Do you know that Mr. Buhari led a delegation to the Biafra on half of the country and discuss with those guys? doing his way.
Discuss with those
with them.
Discuss,
and that is why we have a relative peace that you talk about.
Discuss with those who know that and who are conscious of the fact that they are Cameroonian. But for those who believe that they call themselves Amba boys or separatists, this is time to solve definitely this situation.
Okay, Rogers, we are talking about 9 days after the clarion call for people to reflect, those who are in the bushes to go down to the DDR center. But we see that people are still finding it very difficult to drop their arms and go down to the DDR center. Where lies the problem? You are a politician. Is it the policy that is failing, or somebody has failed to apply his own job very well, or we should think of another method to bring peace and serenity in the northwest and southwest regions, so that we try to put an end to the number of killings, the kidnapping that we are witnessing in the two regions?
Mr. Abel, thank you for the second opportunity. I thought maybe you must have forgotten about me. So
how can you say that?
Before I answer your question, Mr. Abel, permit me to clarify or to clear some doubts. Talking about the issue of presidential opposition leader giving speech, we might disagree on the time. If the president of the country is talking at 8 p.m., it is not good for somebody to talk at 8 p.m. We can disagree on the time, but there is no law against that.
Okay, we got your point.
Mr. Fuller said that nowhere in the world. I want to remind Mr. Fuller that France, which is their biggest example of democracy that they always use, during the end of year, Marine Le Pen made a speech. Marine Le Pen addressed the nation. Jean-Luc Mélenchon addressed the nation. In Senegal,
can you just capitalize on your timing so that you give us an explanation?
In Senegal, which is in Africa, Mr. Sanko, the youngest politician in Senegal, who came out, I think, 10th during the presidential election in Senegal, made a speech. I said we can agree that the time is not good. That is why my president, Honorable Cabral, did it at 6 p.m. because we know the national president we talk at. But don't come and to me, my brother in the SDF, don't say things when they are favorable to you.
Okay.
Honorable Joshua Oshie has been doing speech for 2 years. The fact that he didn't, but in that 2 years, I didn't hear you complain about it. Just the fact that he didn't do it this year, you should not come on.
Okay,
and tell
let's go back to now. You are rounding up. 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 Yes. I will come to you when you have your own time.
Makes a speech. That makes it right.
No.
Okay.
Let me be clear.
You are jacking us behind. You are jacking us behind.
This is my time.
Gentlemen, the question about
if the chairman decides to make a speech on the 31st,
gentlemen,
right?
You are putting us behind.
I will not come on the social media and say I'm against the chairman. But I am telling you that in politics there are things that there is a particular culture. We cannot take the attention that we have to give to the head of state to some other person.
Jones, let's continue from where we are supposed to be.
It was
I think you are pushing us behind.
No, I'm not. He's the one.
I want us to be coherent with the Cameroonian people.
Let me answer.
If you are giving your time, I'm the one moderating. And if I give you your time, make maximum use of your time. Go ahead. I give you some for the grace. We are in the new year.
Okay, talking about the resolution to the Anglophone crisis, the DDR, like you were saying, that why are people hesitating to join the center? Mr. Abel, there is one thing in every society that is called trust. If I have a problem with you and you call me to come and talk with you, you don't guarantee me the fact that if I come and talk with you and the talking is going to be fair, I will always doubt you. And that is what Mr. Bia has been doing in the past years. I was expecting one of the panelists to come out with the American resolution 1868 that came out about 3 or 4 5 days ago from the American Senate. I was expecting someone to mention that. When I read
calling on both parties to put an end to the crisis.
Yes, when I read about
face some sanctions.
Yes, when I read about that resolution, there was a particular place, section 4.
So many problems internally.
Section 4.
Don't talk about America, please.
Section 4 of that resolution, A, B, C, and F. If you read the document, you discover that what the American Senate said was what we have been saying in the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation. See, Mr. Abel, The truth is this: the major national dialogue was not perfect 100%, but we believe in our party that if immediately after the major national dialogue, because the president had the power to implement the recommendations of the major national dialogue, if immediately in 2019 the president had put in place some of the recommendations that came out of the major national dialogue, it wouldn't have been a total resolution to the Anglophone crisis, but there would have been an advancement. You understand? Two, if the president could listen to some Anglophone leaders, we always talk of people. The Americans said that, but when I was talking in another media that I wouldn't want to mention, somebody was using it and shouting. The Americans said the president should listen to the Anglophone. Honorable Cabral has been saying that the president should listen to the aspirations of the Anglophone people. That is why, Mr. Abel, let me just round up.
Yes.
See, you cannot solve a problem when you don't touch the origin of the problem. Some people always say, some people will come on media and say that the problem has gone beyond the origin. No, the best way to solve a problem, like they say in French, you don't look at where you fall, you look at where you hit your leg.
Yeah.
So the problem to the Anglophone, the resolution to the Anglophone crisis is in our hands. No matter the declarations we are going to make on medias, there are basic things there are places we have to go back there. And one of those things, I think, we believe in our party, the CPNR, the president should start by releasing all the prisoners of the Anglophone crisis, but on one condition, which is if they are going out, they should agree they are going out to fight for peace, not to go back and join the centers. Not to go back and refuel the crisis again. You understand? If they could agree on that, the president should free them. The president should listen to BBC Mancho and Felix Ngalim, who have said that we have offended the nation. They have been sentenced, and they said that they've asked for forgiveness, and they said they are ready to put their services in the fight in order to bring peace in Southwest and Northwest. The president should equally listen to them and come to the decentralization. I pray that the president should allow the regionalization or the special status in the Southwest and Northwest to be applied fairly. Because like what others are thinking, the special status is good, but the problem is at the level of the application. Like Prince was saying, are they going to allow the special status to be applied? Because we believe in the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation that the problem of the Anglophone crisis is not separatist, it is autonomist. It's an autonomist crisis. If they can allow the people, the special status to be implemented in this region fairly,
the guys will come
it's going to lead to so many advancements in the resolution of the Anglophone crisis. And finally, whether we carry the gun from morning to evening, Abel, the solution is at the level of talking. We should
at the end, we are going to come back.
We are going to come to the table and talk.
Viban Jones, can the separatists be at peace?
Mr. Abel, I'm trying to laugh out a certain fear in me that Mr. Fuller is sending out to the public. And I'm talking now to my fellow Anglophone brothers and sisters in the Northwest and Southwest. If you are there right now, please be very watchful. Mr. Fuller is bringing us an indirect message saying that it is time for the army to do its job. Mr. Fuller is indirectly telling us that we should expect anything, anytime in the Northwest and the Southwest.
Maybe massive wipeout.
I mean, I said I cried, I wept when he said that.
He has not said so.
No, he said we should, that it is time, that they should be more serious, and it is the last option that I'm going to use now to bring back peace, because it is the last way. He's gradually being proud of the fact that people were killed in the Torgate there in Nigeria, and according to CPDM, according to him, I'm not going into that. That was the best way. I mean, we saw when Nigerians started this issue of SAR, what happened? The government came up immediately and said, we want to reform. The people said, no, they don't want reformation. They want you to completely abolish it. Means that the government responded to the people. But what happened in Cameroon? When it started, they said there was no problem. The so-called governor went out and called people's dogs. Another minister went out and said they're hungry. People, when they'll be hungry, they'll go back to their courts. Is that a country where we find ourselves? I mean, that this government has made us to understand that there is no trust. My brother was saying here that...
So we cannot peace the separatists? We cannot peace them?
There is never ever a way that this government will appease these people unless they organize or they accept to go and sit where the people want them to sit and discuss. Now, excuse me.
Yes.
When somebody come on air who lives here in Yaoundé and make some pronunciations that the little majority. Have you been in Norwest recently to see what people are going through over there? When you see the little majority, that only the huge majority of Cameroonians and the word peace, then only a little majority.
Maybe
you say you know your brothers. Who do you know? Since this crisis started, has Mr. Fula gone to Bamenda? Has he gone to Southwest?
Maybe he's talking from a particular standpoint.
No, he shouldn't make such because my son
in the crisis we have 4 people. Do you know that?
I know.
We have those who believe in decentralization, those who believe in federalism, those who believe in the.
He should talk about the few
and those who are
people. No, he should talk about the few people in CPDM who believe that Cameroon is still Cameroon.
If I told you that Anglophone is who still have that in their heart.
Because a lot of us have lost.
Do you have news from Ethiopia?
Listen, we're not talking about Ethiopia.
Ethiopia has its own problem. We have us.
Ethiopia is not
Let's
Cameroon.
face our problems.
No, you don't say that.
Very soon,
Mr. Fuller.
Very soon.
That is what.
Enough is enough.
Excuse me, my mic is.
One more question. What if?
Excuse me.
No. The crisis were happening. The Northwest were to be in the people of this other part of the country.
I'm not getting you.
Southwest, are you Mr. Fuller?
Okay.
The question is, what if the Northwest and the Southwest, the Anglophone part of Cameroon, was the east part of Cameroon, and the east part of Cameroon was the former west part of Cameroon?
Should we look at it that way?
Would you have said?
Should we look at it that way?
No, Mr. Fuller. Would you have answered that the army, Mr. Fuller? When Mr. Fuller, when there was a crisis in Sang Malima, when boys took machetes and sticks, sending away the people from the West region, did you advise that they should send the police or the gendarme to go and beat them up? Is that what you said?
Excuse me, Mr. President. Let me finish.
Yes, you're running up.
Let me go back to that DZR. Yes, let me go back to that DZR. It has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that that place doesn't exist. Why? The boys are on the streets begging, first. Secondly, we see they are changing their directors on daily basis. I don't know what is the problem.
What do you mean by daily basis?
Just
like they are changing income. Yes.
No.
What is the problem with DZR that they are changing their general directors or their managers or whosoever that is controlling that place on daily basis? What is happening in there?
Not on a daily basis. Let's put the facts straight.
Yeah, but of course, how many times from the creation? How many times from the creation? No, let us just be very realistic.
Yeah.
I just want to say that this issue in the Northwest and Southwest, Mr. President Paul Biya, as you claim that you were duly elected.
He's not claiming.
Yeah, he claims. Because
not claiming.
Let me tell you why I say he claimed. There was no election in Northwest and Southwest.
But
the results that came from the Northwest and Southwest.
There were elections in the Northwest and Southwest.
The elections in the Northwest and Southwest regions voted. It showed that even the entire population that voted in Northwest and Southwest was even more than the population that live in the Northwest and Southwest during that period of election.
That is the electoral code.
It's really wonderful.
Even if it is one person that votes, the vote is validated.
Yeah, so you can't one vote as 4,000 votes in a certain place where there are no single soul lives.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, let me calm down and say, Mr. Biya.
Your time is up.
Oh, all right, I'm sure I'll come back.
Since it's a new year, I'll just give you some 5 seconds.
No, I'm sure I'm going to come back.
If you have the opportunity to come back again. Now, I will move to you. And the same question I asked John, that is the question I want to ask you. Yes. Can the separatists be appeased?
Okay.
Because we are looking for appeasement at this point in time. So that we should stop the number of killings. You cannot travel now to the Northern and Southwest region with safety. Maybe you'll be ambushed on the way. It was in those days that we know that when you are traveling, maybe you meet what we call coupe de route. But now it becoming serious. Can we appease them in any way?
My brother,
can you speak on the microphone?
My brother,
Thank you.
I will likely tell you that I am actually very tired to speak about the Anglophone crisis. In fact, we have been talking about the same thing for how many years? So many years. And so people have been dying. We are here, we are singing, we are talking, we are shouting, but people are dying. And so at the same time, we ask ourselves, how can these people be appeased? How can they be appeased?
Okay.
The only thing is that to appease them, from the way I look at things, to appease them is to give their nation, which a country can never actually accept. Mm-hmm. The government of Biya is there, whether we like it or not. It is their right to defend the territory. It is their right, whether we like it or not.
country can allow this one?
Excuse me, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is their right to defend, because even if John Fundi were elected as the president, he will do the same. Want to preserve the integrity of the nation. Now, the separatists are there and they have their own rights. They say, okay, this is what happened and we want back our territory. I, as a Cameroonian, I will not want to see Cameroon divided into two. When the crisis began, when the crisis began in 2016, most Anglophones thought that that was a time for us to solve certain problems in this country, and very soon the war became an armed conflict. And so, who are the ones suffering today? The civilians, the civilian population. The armed boys are suffering less. The army is suffering. The army is suffering less, but the civilian population is suffering a lot. So the question I want to ask myself is that where is the way forward now? Because at the beginning we thought that people like the US and Great Britain, they will come, they will step in and they will do something, but nothing. They have done nothing. I saw an American politician saying that the Anglophone crisis is the most neglected conflict in the world. Neglected. In fact, people are dying, but people don't think. I mean, the decision makers of the world, they don't give any ear. They give a deaf ear to it. So what do we do now? Because from every indication, we have seen that some of these, most of the leaders of this movement, they don't even want to hear about dialogue. They don't want to hear about it. The last time I heard about dialogue in the ranks of the secessionists was with Siseko, when there were some agitations. People, it's like the government. Each time a leader came up and say something about dialogue, he's put immediately at the minority. So it makes it so difficult for us to stand here and say, okay, if there's nothing the government can do. I mean, there's nothing the government can do in the sense of giving a nation to such people, because most of them, I've never seen any of them, because I know the leaders and I follow them. Achua, Erita, all those people, I follow them. None of them. Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please.
You cannot say that.
Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Let me finish. What I'm saying, I know the government of Bia is a government of bad faith. That's the first thing. But my concern, my opinion, the way I look at the crisis has changed. Why? Because I see a lot of deaths. People are dying on daily basis. So what is the way forward? Even if the Bia government is so I don't know. Is so resilient on doing anything good, but what do we do? What do we do? Do we now go and discuss on a week go on a table, on a discussion table on a weak point? Because I believe that in 2018 that was the best time where the Ambazonians would have called for dialogue, according to my opinion. That's my humble opinion. But they have not called for dialogue. But we are seeing the army doing some progress.
No, Mr. Bertrand.
Hold on, let me say something.
No.
We are seeing the army.
Let me correct you a bit on something you're trying to say there.
Those are facts.
Yeah, I want to.
Let me finish.
Excuse me.
Okay.
When you say that in 2018, you think that it was the best time. When this crisis started, from the day one of this crisis, there was a general call for a dialogue.
For sure, we saw it. Yeah, we saw it.
So when you say that you thought that it was that time, it's as if there was a certain time that it was supposed to call a dialogue. It couldn't go because let me just say something before we come in. President Biya Paul himself, who is there in the 2D, like my brother said here before, that is someone who is reacting based on what they tell him. When it comes to the other issues concerning this crisis, concerning Cameroon, I will accept it. But when it comes to Norwest and Southwest issue, my brother, he is not ignorant. he knows the genesis of this crisis because he was there from the beginning. All the roadmaps that Ahijo was going left and right, he was going with Biapo. Biapo knows this master. In fact, he's the best person to actually. He went and embarrassed himself there in France. Was it in France? He embarrassed himself there
in France. Yeah, when he was.
So when we're talking about somebody, it's a lie. He knows this thing very well.
My brother,
he knows. He masters this.
My brother, I am not like trying to give.
We are moving out of this.
Yeah. I am saying that the government of Bia is responsible 100% for what is happening.
Okay.
My concern, I am saying that my concern is those who are dying. And I said in history, because I gain my ends from history.
Yes.
Okay. We know that in order for us to go on a negotiating table, we should go strong. It is not good for us to go on a negotiating table when we are weak. Like for the FARC in Colombia, they were on a negotiating table when they were already weak. You see, so it's always very good for armed conflict, armed separatists to know when to dialogue. It is very important for them to know when to dialogue, because if you dialogue, if you go to the table when you are weak, there is no way you will not have even 1/10 of what you wanted to have.
Okay,
Mr. Ebel,
these guys have been talking about the Swiss. These guys have been talking about the Swiss dialogue for a very long time.
I want to say something. Okay, hold up. Yes,
these guys have been saying something. They have been crying for the Swiss dialogue. They had prepared themselves very much for the Swiss dialogue. But what happened? The government has been showing bad faith.
Okay.
They went and arranged a so-called monologue here, and they were inviting people from. Let me tell you why those people could not come.
We got your point.
Let me just say something concerning that dialogue.
We got your point.
The main people who are calling on these boys out there, they could not come here. Why? Because we have seen a country and a government where they make policies overnight.
Okay.
You created the consortium. They ordered for the creation of that consortium. They created the constitution, you dialogue with them, then the following day you created the law and you caught them secessionists and you caught them immediately. So it's not strange for me to hear that the government pretends, then people leave the other countries and come here in the name of, oh, we are protected, then they finish the so-called dialogue overnight, they create the law and catch them.
Thank you.
So the dialogue has been going on, but they refuse to come to the dialogue table.
Thank you. I just add this? Now, Mr. Ebel, you asked this question.
Yes, I will come to you. Yes,
Mr. Ebel, you asked this question.
Round up.
Can the separatists be appeased?
Yes.
That is what you asked.
Yes.
That was a very good question that I could not go without coming back to it. Look, Mr. Ebel, the problem...
You have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. The problem is not about appeasing the separatists, right? The problem at this level is for the Cameroonian government to do what is right. What is it that is right that will make actually people, because when we talk about separatists, we are not talking about...
Let me hold your microphone,
we are talking about separatists, we are not talking about those guys who are living in the bushes, but we are talking about those guys who live in Europe who are capable of foiling, financing, convincing those young boys in the bushes.
Okay.
So how do we solve this crisis? If the government can do what is right, what is it that is right? If the government can put those right people in the DDR centers, if the same government in place...
But the right people are there now.
They are not the right people. That is why it is failing. Why do I say so? Because this government in place...
So the young girls should be sacked.
Mr. Ebel, that is what you are saying. I'm telling that they are not the right people who are supposed to. Why do I say so? Because if they were the right people are there, you won't see these guys in the street. You won't see these guys going to the bushes. But if these guys are going back into the bushes because they don't have what to do in towns, if they come into the towns, they will be killed. Why? Because there are people who are fitting fat on the DDR centers. Okay. Remember, like I've always said in other panels, I've always said this. How the Cameroon government function till date is because they use any institution they have as a means to settle for their political partisan or partisan politics.
Yeah,
if you are someone who has supported the CPTM, so when they create any institution, they'll put you there. And if it comes in this manner, you see that you don't have accountability to anyone. Your accountability to say to stress high instruction from the head of state, and that is how you rule it. So with that, we realize that those young boys will still remain in the bush. So if the government does what is right, we'll realize these guys will leave the bushes, they will come back to town, and we will not have to talk with any separatists, because these separatists are living because these guys are still here in the bush.
Thank you very much.
I totally agree with you. You know, these are two solutions. First of all, to solve the problem, the real problem of the population. I'm not talking about the terrorist secessionists.
The population.
And there are orders givers. I'm talking about the population. They have their problem. What the government must do, what they have to do is to solve their problem. And then one of the solution is now this matter of decentralization. You will see, Abel.
I'm already witnessing this.
You know now every region now has an executive and a
regional council,
and even for the now west and the southwest,
there's a special
the head of state went further,
and that is what you are making
special statute. And even
let me hold your microphone so that you should not interrupt. Mr. Fly says something.
Even there, you have an independent public mediator who has the right and the power to intervene without the intervention of Yaoundé.
And who is appointed by Yaoundé?
This is
and must work
according to the laws of Yaoundé.
This is
because if he fails,
this is a real independence. Since, for instance, you know, this executive of
what does an independent person have to do?
They have the right. They have the
yes, go ahead. John, I'm taking your microphone, Mr. Fula. Go ahead.
The right to manage the right to manage the resources of the soil. So, according to me, it's a real independence.
Okay.
No, Mr. Fula, what they have done is what they call the concentration, not decentralization.
Franklin, I'm coming to you. Can you allow Mr. Fula to round up, please?
I will land.
No, don't interrupt him, please. Don't interrupt him. Yes, go ahead.
I will land by
land.
Those who are waiting for a foreign intervention, they are dreaming.
Okay.
You saw what happened in Great Britain.
I agree
Talking
with you
about the unbreakable. This is a word of the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
The unbreakability of the Great Britain.
Yeah.
You saw France, for instance, what they did in New Caledonia.
Yeah.
You saw the United States of America, what they are doing in Hawaii. You saw the Russia, what they are doing in Chechnya. And even nowadays, what Chinese country is doing in Hong Kong. Those who are waiting for a foreign intervention, they are dreaming. They will never be foreign intervention. Never.
I support Mr. Fula.
Rogers. Can we allow Rogers to talk, please? You want to make a point. I will come to you. You are just coming from talking.
It's the new year wish. 2 minutes, please. Mr. Fly, thank you very much.
Real independence.
Yes, the head of state made mention of democracy in
we are going to talk about no, just keep the democracy. Don't allow the cat out of the bag, gentlemen. Yes, Rogers. We are talking about this appeasement, and do you think that it's possible? You had the microphone. I wanted to chip in something. You are just smiling.
Yes, I'm smiling because
I'm putting a cut to what everybody is saying.
No, because this 2021 there is a lot of
if
excitement.
It is because of John, don't worry.
A lot of excitement in the studio, so that's why I'm smiling.
Okay.
Okay. Come back to the Anglophone crisis. We should not fool ourselves. The problem is in the hands. The solutions are in the hands of Mr. Biya. Okay. Jones was saying something, maybe he didn't put it right. When President Ahijo was in power, he sent 4 people in the northwest and southwest to go and verify if there is an Anglophone problem. Joe, please permit me to.
Yes, I'm with you.
He sent these 4 people to go and see if there is an. I've forgotten the name, but Mr. Biya was one of them, and 3 of them are dead already. So President Biya is
the only one that is the only
one alive. That means if no, 3 of them are dead. There are 3 francophones.
I just sent.
Maybe it's a secret mission. Maybe it was a secret mission. Go ahead. Mr. Wumi.
Yes.
No,
wait. Let me tell.
No, pause the history a bit. Pause the history.
Saying that those I just sent to carry out a survey on the Anglophone issues. We have Aboma Choi, we have Njuma, we have Paul Biya himself, and a fourth somebody, I don't know. So the Njuma is alive.
Okay.
And
Aboma Choi is still there.
Aboma Choi is still there.
Paul Biya is still there.
Paul Biya is still there.
Maybe the one that we don't know, maybe it's the
Aboma Choi has even said that he cannot say anything about the report because Biya was the head of the delegation. So he is the one who's supposed to tell.
But he was the rapporteur.
For sure.
And a rapporteur in English, something like a secretary, who took down everything.
For sure.
So Aboma Choi also had to talk.
No. He cannot say because the leader of that movement, of that.
If the president cannot talk, the secretary can chair a meeting. Go ahead, my brother.
The leader already said it in France during the Paris Peace Forum.
Go ahead.
I think if there is something we should learn, it's remaining 15 minutes. We should equally allow others to
go ahead.
Talk.
Go ahead. You have the floor. Nobody's going to disturb you.
I'm beginning to feel like there is a coup d'etat.
No, there's no coup d'etat.
No.
This is not a republic. This is not a republic.
That doesn't exist.
We are running up. We have something very important to talk in the next 15 minutes.
That was just an outside. Like I said, we are not talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
From my own.
Go ahead.
The mission was a secret mission.
Good.
You understand?
Yes.
And the only person who mastered the Anglophone crisis is President Biya. We will talk from now to tomorrow. I will come back to one thing, and that is what we believe in the Cameroonian Party for National. The willingness of the president to solve the problem. The solution is the willingness of the president to solve the Anglophone crisis. There are so many solutions.
I know you are a gentleman. You give me some few time. Hello.
Okay.
Yes, my name is ABEL Bela Samari.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Mr. Niba.
Okay, Mr. Niba.
Yes.
Just some few seconds, please.
Yes, I just want to say this problem, this Anglophone problem, since I remember when it started, some of my brothers were making a debate in my house, and I told them that, man, read my lips. This problem can never be solved during Biya's regime.
I have been saying that.
Another regime can solve it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm sure for now they can believe me. For how many years now? 4 years, no solution. These things are getting worse.
Okay.
The Anglophone crisis has killed more than what COVID has killed. All of us are aware about that. And then secondly, I just want to say that Cameroonians should become realistic. Those Amber boys, it's left for them either to decide to be dying or they continue the battle. And the military, same thing. But one thing is clear. One day, we will see the end for those who have life. Cameroonians should be realistic. That is what I am saying.
Okay.
And I'm very, very convinced this problem can never be solved by Biya's regime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Niba. You are running up. Yes.
I totally, please.
Gentlemen, go ahead.
I totally agree with the caller because, like I said, I was just saying some few minutes ago, the problem is at the level of the willingness of President Biya to solve the crisis. And since 2016 right up to now, we have not been seeing that because it took a lot of pressure for him to call the major national dialogue. It took so many years for him to implement the resolution of the major national dialogue. And some panelists have been talking about the major national dialogue being a monologue. I don't agree with that, and I don't want us to repeat it because the major national
nobody's going to repeat it.
No, the major national dialogue was not a monologue. We saw great men from the Northwest and Southwest who were part of the.
Nijon Fundi was there.
He was there. Christian Cardinal Tumi was there. Agbombala was there. So many others. So many others were there. You understand?
Their ideas were not accepted. Their ideas were not accepted.
Why they go there?
They should try the form of the state to make it look like it was in 1961.
Okay.
And it was cancelled.
If they were there whom their ideas could not be respected, then there was no need for them to go there.
It was a monologue.
We are going to take this musical break. When we come back, we'll continue with the program.
Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Yurish Kemwe, for that music that you should be playing on the background. Good. Gentlemen, the president said something and I want us to just say a point or two. And I'm going to say it and I'm going to do a bit of comparison in a relation. The president talked of our democracy, which is, he says, is a very young democracy. I want to use that democracy and take the American illustration. On Wednesday, the Capitol House of the United States of America, which is a very significant house, was attacked by riots due to election, which is very common with what we see here in Cameroon. But since Wednesday right up to today, there is a lot of movement. They could still, the American people could still certify the results of Joe Biden without any disturbance. They had to control the situation. What lesson that can advance our democracy can we learn from the American situation? I start with you, Mr. Fuller.
No lesson at all.
Okay.
You know, what hurt us a lot is the attitude of the American ambassador in this country.
Yeah.
They are acting and they are behaving like teachers.
Okay.
Who came here to give lesson to everybody. Give lesson to the head of state. You know, in diplomacy, you have internal matters.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
We didn't say that they don't have to. How can I say? They don't have the right to say anything. But when you are dealing with a foreign country, when you are dealing with another country, you have a little respect to the sovereignty of this country. And now, if you are a lesson giver,
okay, can I pause you there? Can I pause you? Just hold your point. I'm coming to you. What lessons can we learn from the American election?
The American election just taught us something that we have been saying in the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation, which is simple: that massive participation, massive registration to the electoral list, massive supervision of votes. Because all what we saw the other day is as a result of one candidate saying that the elections were fraudulent, that his representatives were not allowed this and that. At the end of the day is to tell you that we should create our own democracy. We should create our own system. Cameroon is not America. We are specific. We should not base our mind on
the lesson there is what? Massive. I want to get the lessons. No lesson for
massive registration to the electoral list, massive voting, and massive supervision of votes. And that is why we in Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation we're talking about communitarian federalism.
Good. We are going to explain. What lessons do we learn from the American election?
If there was a problem at the Capitol on Wednesday in America,
and it's simply strong.
Yeah, it's simply because Americans have strong institutions.
Institutions.
Yes.
What makes the institutions very strong?
Because they give the institutions the powers. Look like in Cameroon, they create Elecam tomorrow. The president of the chairman of Elecam is being appointed by the president.
We are talking about
how
America. America, please.
Sir, I'm coming.
We are drawing an illustration.
We are coming. Had it been the president of the Elecam will come, the chairman will come in from an elected body or through a different means, not from the presidency. The power, Elecam will have stronger powers than what it has today.
We have massive registration, massive electoral turnout. We have no lessons to draw from the American elections. Mr. Womei, what can we get from Wednesday, all that happened in relation to what the president said concerning our democracy? What can we tap for our democracies to be better?
One thing I realized that democracy is a process. We saw what happened in the US. If those guys, in fact, their democracy went to a verge of collapsing because of people who got into the Congress and disrupt what was taking place there. But what I want to get from the president of the Republic is that it is not because our democracy is just about 60 years that we must wait until 200 years like the Americans in order to make a good democracy.
Good.
We have examples of countries that have the same years with us.
So what should we apply? What should we tap from there to make our own democracy to be strong and even stronger than what we have in America?
It comes with the way we have to select our leaders. That is, electoral process should be that clear that when we vote in the morning and in the evening, we know who has won. We have cell phones, we have digital, we have smartphones, all those technology that those countries have. Okay. So there's no reason why we should vote today and we are expecting a result three weeks after.
Thank you, Jones. What should we learn from the American election?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. I'm getting you.
I just want to pick it up from where he ended. He said, "Our democracy allows a peaceful expression." I'm quoting Bia Paul. Of all opinions.
Since we are running out of time, I want to get the element.
Yes, my element here is that he is claiming that it allows peaceful expression, whereas it's like selling a goat.
Peaceful expression from the Americans.
No.
I want to draw from the American election to build our own.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That he is saying something which represents or which means selling the goat and holding the rope, because it's not actually what is in Cameroon. Now, with the America, I mean, there's a lot of transparency. A lot of transparency in their electoral process. So much so that you can, my brother just said it all there. Elections by day, by night, we have results. Okay. Final full stop.
Transparency. Mr. Princely, what can we get from the American election?
Yeah, thank you very much, Abel. We have this. There's a separation, the quick separation, or the better separation of power between the institutions and the personalities. This we can draw an example from where we saw, I think yesterday, Mike Pence, who is the vice president, who was appointed by the president, stood forth and said that he cannot take the stand of a person to that of an institution, which therefore means the institutions are stronger.
Institutions.
Yes, and this comes back to what President Pobe actually said at the end of the speech, saying that we have a very fragile democracy, which is still very young, because other democracies have gone centuries and we are still in decades, which I will affirm with him, but it's not an example to copy. Why? Because we shouldn't copy the wrong thing. Why should we not copy the wrong thing? That is why before now I said Mr. Fula has fallen his own trap, because we have a democracy where Mr. Pobe actually dated back from the 2018 elections, coming to the February 9 polls and the senatorial elections, to now the just regional elections where Mr. Bia counted all of them, and we are d'accord with it that those are elections and democratic procedures that we have actually gone through, which is not a problem.
Can we talk about the Cameroon democracy in our next edition of the Topics and Realities, where we are going to have the opportunity to elaborate some of these points that you people evocate? Is that not so? Yes, can we talk about it?
Yes, but just one thing, Mr.
I want to pause it.
The major lesson in this election is that no electoral system is perfect. Massive participation, massive voting, and massive supervision of vote is the key.
We have some SMS. I want to acknowledge that we have Archer Nurse Fund, Nursing Fund. We got your message. We are going to take it next week. Gentlemen, do you promise to be with us here?
Of course.
It is a continuation.
Of course.
We still have the democracy that we need to talk about it.
Of course, thank you very much. Abel will talk about it. God bless
Mr. Fula, we hope to see you here next Saturday.
Always.
Francis, thank you for coming.
Yeah. CPGM.
Jean-Marie and Naba, I know that we are talking about democracy, and when we talk about democracy, it's more of politics, and in politics, we have biometric politics. Happy New Year to you, my brother.
Happy New Year, Abel Bela Samari. Happy New Year to your guests. Happy New Year to our listeners.
So what should we be expecting today from the program biometric politics?
En guise de vœux pour la nouvelle année 2021, nous avons le devoir de pleurer d'abord nos morts. Nos morts du côté de Mozogo, nous sommes dans la région de l'extrême nord, et nos morts du côté de la région du nord-ouest. Vous avez des attaques avec une nouvelle stratégie des attentats. Il faut les pleurer. Que de discuter des affaires de politique politicienne, nous avons le devoir de pleurer ces morts-là. Mais en les pleurant, nous avons une interrogation cet après-midi pour se demander, oui, qu'est-ce que le gouvernement de John Gouté a pu faire pour nous éviter d'un tel drame? Eux qui ont conduit effectivement le grand dialogue national, dont les recommandations ne sont pas totalement implémentées, notamment la reconstruction de ces deux régions-là. Il y a toujours les morts malgré les multiples promesses. Nous allons évaluer les 2 ans de ce gouvernement avec un grand arrêt sur la fièvre du remaniement. J'ai vu l'ancien député d'Umfundi vilipendé dans les médias et les réseaux sociaux. On l'accuse de vouloir négocier, d'être dans les tractations, tout comme l'opposition avec l'honorable Cabral Ebi également. Cette fièvre du remaniement-là, qu'est-ce qu'elle nous apporte au moment où nous avons un véritable problème à régler de l'autre côté? Donc, c'est l'édition 0 de l'année 2021 et nous allons l'inaugurer avec nos invités qui sont déjà dans les couloirs de la radio.
Thank you very much, listeners. Don't move a muscle because up next is Biometric Politics. La radio continue.
Royal FM 88.4.
Bonne année! Dans un instant, votre radio, c'est la pub.